Welcome to the 700 Club. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a special program today. I want you to think of this. God Almighty sends an angel to you, and he says to you, this angel, I will give you the secret to robust health, to a long life, to dramatic weight loss, and to a happy existence. And you would ask yourself, I want what that angel has. Well, I want to introduce you to the angel, Laurie Johnson.
A new survey released this week shows President Biden's approval fell 10 points since June, from 62 to 52%, as the government pushes new vaccine and mask mandates. Tuesday, the president called for tighter restrictions to combat the highly contagious Delta variant.
All federal workers must report their vaccination status or be subject to strict requirements. I directed my administration to take steps to apply similar standards to all federal contractors. If you want to do business with the federal government, get your workers vaccinated. And I also directed the Pentagon to look at adding COVID-19 to the list of vaccinations that are required for our troops.
While COVID cases are reaching levels not seen since February, vaccinations are also up 24% in the last 2 weeks. That pushes the total number of vaccinated adults past the 70% mark. Now, however, more vaccinated people are testing positive for COVID, although most of these breakthrough cases avoid hospitalization and death. While a majority of doctors say vaccination offers the best protection, another layer includes a strong immune system. 80% of our immune system resides in the intestines, home to trillions of bacteria. Doctors say too much bad and not enough good can lead to pre-existing conditions that put COVID patients at greatest risk.
An altered microbiome causes high blood pressure, causes autoimmune disease. I'm convinced that it causes heart disease, and certainly is a major cause of diabetes and pre-diabetes, and this unbelievable obesity epidemic that we have.
On the other hand, building up favorable bacteria can lead to a long and happy life. One new study out of Japan could have found evidence to bear that out. It compared the intestinal makeup of 160 centenarians, average age of 107, to that of two younger groups, one age 85 to 89 and the other age 21 to 55. Turns out those who lived to age 100 and beyond appear to have a special gut bacteria that produce byproducts which help ward off infections that the younger folks didn't carry.
Well, a lot of people don't really connect gut health to immunity and also to brain health, but they're totally interconnected.
Psychiatrist Daniel Amen says the so-called gut-brain axis along the vagus nerve means, for better or worse, our microbiome directly affects our moods.
When it becomes unhealthy, we're sadder, we're more anxious, and we don't fight off illnesses like COVID-19 nearly as effectively as if we have a healthy microbiome.
So while the coronavirus pandemic rages on, health experts say there's no better time than the present to strengthen our immune system. Step 1, build a better gut.
Well, the angel I spoke about is here with us, Laurie. The secret the angel had that's going to give health, happiness, long life, and certainly reduce weight. is all found in the sea. You don't have to go up to heaven to get it. It's in your gut.
Absolutely. And you were so right when you said God put these wonderful things on our planet for us. And, you know, there are 7 areas in the world. They're called blue zones. And they are areas in the world that have high concentrations of centenarians, people who live beyond age 100. There's only one of them in the United States, Loma Linda, California. I went to Loma Linda and interviewed all these centenarians, and you would have thought they were in their 70s. But what's their secret? They are vegetarian primarily. Sometimes they'll eat a little bit of fish, but they're very into the things that God put on this earth. And they talk about how in the Bible it says that God put all these fruits and vegetables on the earth, and these are the types of things that build up your gut.
All right, well, now let's talk about the gut biome. What exactly is it?
So the gut microbiome is like a little ecosystem. Think of a forest, and you have all these different kinds of animals in there. And if it's healthy, if an ecosystem is healthy, these things are all keeping each other in check. So you have the good microbiomes are keeping the bad ones in check. And so it's this wonderful balance. But if that microbiome gets out of balance, in other words, if too many bad bacteria start taking over, that's when you start having problems.
We've got this well, it's a crisis of obesity. What is causing this obesity? Is this part of it?
Absolutely, 100%. And the reason is because of the food. So I talk to diet experts. I talk to doctors. I've been doing it for 13 years now. By the way, the obesity crisis has gotten much worse. And every person I've ever spoken to about why do we have such an obesity crisis, they all say one thing: it's our food. It's the food that we eat. It's our food chain. And it's because so many people eat processed food more and more and more. In fact, 80% of most people's calories come from processed foods. And these are very bad for the gut.
All right, you got this little gut biome. How many of these little critters do you have? Are we talking about billions or trillions of them?
Trillions of them, and very many different species, too. And they say that the amount of bacteria in our gut makes up about 2 pounds. There are that many. And so they're very prevalent. And so what we want are a diverse amount, lots of different types, and a lot of them. So think of a garden. You want to plant all different kinds of things, but you also need to fertilize that. You need to water it. And a lot of people run into problems when they'll put the good bacteria in. Let's say they take a probiotic, but they don't do anything to feed the good bacteria in their gut. Remember, these are bacteria, and they're living creatures, and they need food. And if you don't feed them, they will not flourish.
All right, let's look at the stuff you've got. Now, let's say somebody's watching this program, and he says, you've got my attention. I want to be healthy. I want to live a long life. I want to have a happiness in my life. I want to lose weight. All right, let's start. What do you do to help that guy?
All right, so you want to make sure to put those good bacteria in there.
All right.
So the foods and things that have the actual live bacteria that you want to put in your gut are called probiotics.
All right.
Probiotics. Now, you can take a probiotic supplement. I take this supplement, but believe me, there are lots of them out there that are very good. You want to get one that has a lot of different types of bacteria,
well,
a wide variety.
That's 100 billion little critters in it.
Right,
and
this is why I like it so much, but people don't have to get this exact one. There are a lot of great ones out there. So, but also, it's a great idea to have some foods and drinks that contain these live bacteria. Yogurt is a great choice as long as there's no sugar in it. You have to watch out. Some yogurts have a lot of sugar. Just get the unsweetened plain kind, and if you want to jazz it up a little, put some blueberries in with it. That'll sweeten it up a little bit. Now, here's something called kefir, which is basically like drinkable yogurt.
Yeah.
It has wonderful probiotics, the live bacteria. This is another powerhouse. Most of the experts that I speak to about wonderful things to eat and drink to put good probiotics in your gut is this. It's a version of kimchi. It is a fermented vegetable. And there are many, many, many different varieties of fermented vegetables in the grocery store. This is something I put on my salad every single day.
You says kraut. I mean, the sauerkraut is...
Great thing. Sauerkraut is fantastic as long as it's in the refrigerated section.
Okay.
When it's been pasteurized and it's in the can, the good bacteria have been killed.
Well, now, I just this morning I had bran for breakfast. Bran feeds the little fellows. They like bran?
They do like bran, and it's because bran is fiber. The good bacteria in our gut love fiber.
Yeah.
And so bran has fiber in it.
I fed the little fellows this morning.
And they're happy. They're thanking you.
They're happy.
Another good thing that this is called kombucha. A lot of people have probably heard it. It's pretty good. It also has the good bacteria in it. So these are the things that put the bacteria in your gut. But as I just got done saying, that's not enough.
Okay.
You have to feed them fiber. So as you said, I mean, we could talk all hour about the things that have fiber in them. But this is another something that I take every day. And the reason I do it is because so many of these health experts recommend it. Yeah, this will keep you regular, right, Pat?
Yeah, okay.
This is good stuff. I only take a teaspoon of this a day, but it's wonderful fiber. This is flaxseed, ground flaxseed, wonderful fiber. Now, try to have any kind of leafy green, but probably the best as far as a prebiotic is our dandelion greens, and then also asparagus are wonderful. These are all called prebiotics. Prebiotics are the types of foods, and you can even get prebiotic supplements, but the prebiotics are what the bacteria love to eat. You have to have prebiotics if you're going to keep those little guys alive.
So you want to keep those little fellas happy. And well, how about oatmeal? Is oatmeal good? Or
that's good. That's good fiber, as long as it's not the kind that's in the packets with a lot of sugar.
Oh, I like the old-fashioned.
Yeah, rolled oats. Yeah, that's good fiber, too.
All right, so you got bran, you got psyllium husk, you've got asparagus, and you've got leafy green. Okay.
But, you know, we could... Anything in the produce department has fiber in it, so all of those things are good.
Okay.
And it's nice to kind of mix it up a little bit.
All right. Now, that's the good stuff. Now, what are people doing all the time to destroy these friendly bacteria in the gut biome?
So I've asked so many experts about this, and there are tons of articles on the internet, too, from experts who say, you know, the worst thing you can do to your gut is, unfortunately, take an antibiotic. Now, antibiotics save lives. Sometimes antibiotics are necessary. And so this is where it gets a little dicey, because antibiotics are good when you really need them. But the problem is they're overprescribed too many times.
The average dentist, for example, doesn't. I mean, you got an infection in the tooth, so they give you antibiotics, which kills it kills those little fellows in your gut. I mean, kills them dead, right?
It absolutely does. And so, for example, I had surgery in February, and my doctor made me take an antibiotic ahead of the surgery just in case. And I was like, I really don't want to take that antibiotic. Do I have to? And he said, yes, you do, because you could get an infection, and that would be a lot worse than having your gut microbiome ruined. But when doctors are prescribing antibiotics for viral infections, that's where we run into problems, because antibiotics do not cure viral infections. They only cure bacterial infections. And a lot of times when you go into the doctor and you have cold-like symptoms, they'll just give you an antibiotic on the chance that it might be a bacterial infection when actually it's really a viral infection.
A lot of little babies were given antibiotics, just standard stuff. It would mean they started life without the gut biome appropriate.
Right. I feel bad. My daughter's in that category because she used to have ear infections all the time. So she was on antibiotics constantly for like 3 years because she'd get over an ear infection and she'd get another one, and that was standard care, was to prescribe antibiotics. But the thing is, Pat, before we start getting mad at these doctors, this is new information.
Yeah.
You know, back in the 1990s when my daughter was little, we didn't know this. We didn't know this about the gut microbiome. This is new stuff.
All right, well, let's talk now about the things people do to hurt themselves. Of course, we know antibiotics, but people drink a lot of Diet Cokes, Diet Pepsis, that sort of thing. What does this do to them?
So we know sugar is an enemy of the gut.
Okay.
It's very, very bad. It's one of the worst things you can do. But also people say, oh, good, well, then I'll just have the fake sugar. Actually, that's worse, because the chemicals that are in these artificial sweeteners actually cause an overgrowth of the bad bacteria. So some of these gut experts that I've spoken to say actually sugar is better than these artificial sweeteners, but really you should do without both.
Well, I used to take sweet and low, and I realized that's terrible. Sweet and low is bad.
I know.
Yeah.
I used to have a lot of bad habits too.
But I mean, think of the things that are offered as sweeteners that are so-called low calorie.
Right. And so we just need to tell people those artificial sweeteners are unhealthy. They're bad for your gut microbiome, very bad.
I use stevia. Stevia doesn't seem to hurt you.
Stevia is not as bad as far as your gut microbiome goes. But the problem with stevia is it just kind of makes you, the more sweet you have on your taste buds, the more you're going to want them. But you seem to have a lot of self-control. I'm one of these people who, if I have a little bit of sweet, I can't stop. I think I'm a sugar addict. So I'm kind of these one people that has to go off it completely.
All right. Well, now, people, for example, the diet Pepsis and these other things, they think they can drink them because they're low calorie, and that's okay.
That's right. And actually, this is really interesting. Studies have shown that people who drink diet drinks actually gain more weight, and it's probably because it stimulates your urge and, you know, your pleasure center. It makes you want sweet, and so you'll eat more sweets. So diet drinks are, you know, a lot of people are addicted to soda and really have a difficult time coming off of it. And I wanted to say that a lot of health experts say go to the bubbly seltzer water, because a lot of people drink sodas because they like the fizz.
Yeah.
And you can have seltzer water without the dangerous
You've got
sugar.
all these things here. This is hamburger healthy.
Wait, don't call it hamburger healthy. It's the opposite of that.
This is mac and cheese. That's the standard for many people.
Yeah.
What's the deal on that?
The deal on those is those are perfect example of processed foods. A lot of people are like, you keep talking about processed foods. What do you mean? I'm talking about sort of like pre-made foods, foods like this that have already been partially or all the way made for you. They have lots of ingredients. Look at the ingredients on a package, and if the ingredients, it's a very long list, and if you can't pronounce half of them, that's a red flag. And so there is very little to no fiber in processed foods. And that's where we run into problems, is the lack of fiber. Another thing, Pat, is people look at foods that are processed and they don't seem sweet, but there's actually sugar in them. There are these additives that they put into even foods that aren't sweet that have the same effect on your body as sugar. We could go on and on about some of these additives that people put into food, but they're almost all really unhealthy.
There's one thing that you pointed out that I didn't realize. This is something for acid. People have got acid stomach, and they take Prevacid. What are some of the others that they?
The other antacids, Prilosec.
Yeah.
But these are the antacids, and they're very bad for you long term. By that I mean longer than 2 weeks. Doctors say don't take them longer than 2 weeks.
Well, what does that do to your gut biome?
Well, it takes away the acid. It reduces the acid, and the acid is something that helps keep your microbiome balanced. And also, when you don't have enough acid in your stomach, your stomach doesn't break down the food the way it should. And so some people take these antacids like candy for years. And also, Pat, aside from the problems with the gut microbiome, they have been linked to dementia. So people should really try to avoid, certainly, using those antacids for more than 2 weeks.
A birthday, and it looks like that's a birthday cake. What is?
That's an example of sugar, just flat out sugar. So, too much sugar is very, very bad for the gut. It causes the bad gut bacteria to grow out of proportion.
Well, the deal is, I understand, once the good bacteria is overwhelmed by the bad bacteria is then telling your brain up through the vagus nerve, feed me, feed me, feed me. So it sets up a craving for those sweet things. Is that right?
It absolutely is right. And that's a huge problem. I actually interviewed a doctor in New York City who helps people with sugar addiction. That's a real thing. I think I'm a sugar addict. How do I know? It's when I have a little tiny piece of sugar, I cannot stop. I really can't. I mean to only have just one cupcake, just one piece of cake. I can't do it. I've noticed that you can. You've told me before you have one piece of dark chocolate every day. I can't do that. I will eat the whole bar.
Well, that's good for your blood pressure.
Yeah, one piece, not the whole bar. So anyway, he said the way that you go off sugar, like you were saying, that having so much sugar makes you want more.
Well,
and so
you've got bad bacteria taking over your gut, so that gut is talking again to your mind.
absolutely. And so if you can push through, and again, this is so much like other drugs, if you can push through that withdrawal period, 3 days, you know, where your body's screaming, I want sugar, if you can, the cravings stop. And I'm here to say I've lived through this before. I mean, there have been days that I've thought I could never go without sugar. And I hear people say this, I could never go without sugar or white bread. But you think that, but if you go without it for like 3 days, you'll stop craving it.
You're talking about pasta, you're talking about white bread, you're talking about all kinds of cereal. Every cereal, the Cheerios and all those, they're loaded with sugar.
They are, and I'm really glad you pointed that out, because anything that's pretty much white, like white bread or white pasta, your body reads that as sugar. Your body responds to it as if it was just sugar.
Well, the thing that we're talking about is your immune system. About 80% of your immune system is in your gut. So this keeps you, and you mentioned that survey they did, I think, in Japan of centenarians, and they found that the good gut brought forth some chemicals that kept these bad things from hurting them. Talk about that a little bit.
So what we know is that the way this all works is these bacteria produce certain things, chemicals, and they respond different ways depending on which bacteria are producing them. So remember, what makes bacteria so good are the things that they produce. Remember, we feed them, and then they after that they produce it, just like we eat things and then produce. So that's what we're talking about. And these bacteria, they produce things that have been shown to help people avoid disease. What's interesting is that we want to have a lot of different types of bacteria. And this exact strain that was so prevalent in these centenarians was missing in the guts of younger people. So we want to try to, getting back to the probiotics, we want to try to introduce a lot of different kinds of bacteria into our gut. So in other words, don't just have yogurt every day, mix it up. Have some kimchi. They also have fermented beets. They have fermented carrots. I've seen fermented lemons. You can make it at home. I was making my own kimchi for a while. My house looked like a science lab. It was really fun. But you want to have a lot of different variety of bacteria.
Well, you know, the thing of it is, when people are sick, I mean, we're talking about 80% of your immune system. It's not just COVID. It's all the diseases that come on human beings. I mean, you look at these people and you see advertisements for various types of medicine on people whose intestines, irritable bowel syndrome and all that. It's all caused because the gut isn't working right.
I've spoken to some experts on the microbiome, and they say a lot of intestinal problems that people have are because of this condition called a leaky gut.
Yeah.
Years ago, many doctors were saying that's pseudoscience. There's no such thing as that. But now the research is bearing that out, that if you continually abuse your gut microbiome, that the lining in your intestines starts to have big holes in it, and things can get out of your intestines, and then your immune system thinks that they're foreign and starts attacking them and starts attacking other things in your body that look like them, like your thyroid. So basically, this leaky gut syndrome is causing a lot of people to be sick, especially having GI problems. So the way to cure a leaky gut is obviously to increase your gut health. But some say that also collagen is a really good idea, because collagen is really what makes up a good portion of the lining of our intestines. You can get collagen as supplements or also bone broth. I make my own bone broth at home. I drink it every day.
I listen to this stuff that, these medicines they sell, and irritable bowel syndrome and all these things. And I think most of it has to do with this gut flora. And ladies and gentlemen, I just don't want you to die. And I want to keep you long and old and healthy. And you're looking at somebody right now who's 91 years old and just going strong because I look after myself, but I pay attention, you know. And we have a little booklet. When we offered this the last time, it was the most popular thing we have ever offered to this audience, and we give it to you free. It's called How to Build a Better Gut. And all these principles that Lori's been talking about antibiotics and meat and all the, when you look at sugars behaving badly and read the fine print on all the things that you read, and what we eat fermented is fine, etc. We'll give this to you free. You don't have to pay a penny for it. We'll send it just because it's our service to you. It's 1-800-700-7000. And Lori, as our angel has come from heaven to give us the answer, you know, they said, who has to go up to heaven? The answer is inside of you, that God has placed within you the secret of health. The secret of health, and these little critters, trillions of them inside of your intestines. If you got the right ones, they're going to keep you healthy and keep you young. And I don't know about those things of that Japanese study, but I don't see any sense in, I don't see any end. I mean, you just keep on going. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Moses hit 120, and I'm going for Moses.
Yes, I know. Well, you're going strong, and I've never known anyone as disciplined about their diet as you. And so you're quite an example. I have good days and bad days, but you seem to have all good days.
Well, I mean, for example, they put these growth hormones into meat, into chickens. And so you buy the meat and you're buying somebody's hormone. So I make sure that we get meat that I eat is from Whole Foods, that they take that stuff out. You've got to be careful. You've got to read the label. My wife was, had a problem, and she was eating these Cheerios, and I looked at the thing and the amount of sugar in them. They have three kinds. They've got sugar, and they've got high fructose corn syrup, and they've got something else. And you look at the percentage of sugar. Read the labels, folks. You are responsible, and I want you to stay healthy. And Lori, an angel has come among us with the treasure from heaven.
Oh, glory to God. And I've just had a lot of these experts that I talk to are always talking about the importance of a healthy gut. But I will tell you, Pat, I want to just reiterate that doctors are not saying this type of thing should be instead of a vaccine, but rather in addition to the vaccine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, build a better gut. Again, the number is on your screen, 1-800-700-7000, or you can do cbn.com. It's a free booklet, and you really need to get it. Stay healthy, stay well. Whew. We got a lot of other things on this program today, but God bless you. Thank you, Lori.
God bless you, and thank you.